Plenty of bad things happen in these halls every day, but there is always something good waiting just around the corner.
All right, well, I thought that you could use one of these.
My little boy, no.
We rise together, we fall together.
It all comes down to family.
Thank God for General Hospital.
Yes.
From Drew's condition worsening to everyone else scrambling for alibis, here is a recap and all the spoilers from the General Hospital September 4th episode. Spoilers for what happens on General Hospital today on September 4th, 2025. Lucas and Portia fight to save Drew. Despite the damage Drew has caused in recent months, Lucas refuses to turn his back on him. He scrubs in and tries to save Drew's life, while Portia struggles to focus in the OR. Meanwhile, Curtis meets with Jordan and finally admits his marriage is over. As the surgery takes a dire turn, Drew flatlines, only for Portia to bring him back. Nina covers for Willow. When Willow lands on the suspect list, Nina steps in with a questionable alibi for her daughter. The problem? She also gives herself one. Willow quickly realizes that if Nina's story collapses, they'll both look guilty. It makes her wonder, could Nina have been the shooter? Kai and Trina burn evidence before Stella interrupts. Kai and Trina destroy incriminating documents, linking them and Portia to Drew. They set the papers on fire, but Stella interrupts after smelling the smoke. Once alone with Trina, Stella shares that she believes Curtis himself might have tried to kill Drew to protect the family. Dante questions Alexis about her alibi. Dante presses Alexis about Drew's shooting, but the lawyer refuses to answer, without her own counsel present. Later, Alexis insists to Ava and Christina that she was with Rick all evening and makes it clear she expects them to back up her story. Martin tempts Lulu with a career-making story. Martin corners Lulu and teases a major scoop that could secure her spot as Port Charles's top investigative journalist. His plan? Have Lulu expose Drew and help Stella. But before Lulu can dig deeper, word of Drew's shooting interrupts their meeting. Tracy warns Michael to hide his tracks. Tracy urges Michael to do whatever it takes to keep Monica from finding out about Drew's condition. But in private, she confronts him with what she already knows, that he was at Drew's place the night of the shooting. She warns him to lock down an alibi fast. Fans of General Hospital have been curious since the September 4th episode dropped a major secret involving Tracy, Michael, and Drew. Just as everyone scrambled to find alibis, Tracy revealed she knew Michael had been at Drew's house the night of the attack. The moment left audiences questioning how she found out and what it means for Michael moving forward. How did Tracy know about Michael on General Hospital? Tracy's knowledge didn't really come from a lucky guess. It was a direct result of her being a first-hand witness to the crime scene's aftermath. The previous episode on September 3rd showed Tracy arriving at Drew's home after the shooting. She found the front door cracked open and discovered Drew shot on the floor. After calling 911 and attempting to stop his bleeding, she was questioned by Dante and Anna. Crucially, Dante discovered a key piece of evidence, a puddle of water near the back door. This indicated that someone had fled the scene through that exit during the heavy rainstorm that night. Tracy was present when this clue was revealed, and she filed the information away. The timeline became even murkier when Michael returned home drenched from the storm on the same night Drew was attacked. Wiley asked why he hadn't answered his special phone, and Michael claimed he had left it in the car. Meanwhile, Willow came back soaked as well, telling Liz she had gone for a walk. The excuses didn't convince fans, who quickly pointed out the coincidence of their wet clothes and missing time. Now, Tracy might just have been able to connect the dots. Whether she actually caught a glimpse of Michael near Drew's house or simply read between the lines, she warned him to secure an alibi before Monica got dragged into the mess. She made it clear that if Michael were exposed, the fallout would devastate his grandmother. Now, Michael is scrambling to track down the woman he spoke to at a bar to cover his story, but progress has been slow. Meanwhile, Drew's shooting keeps fueling the mystery. General Hospital all but solved the Who Shot Drew attempted murder mystery in the September 4th episode, recapped in full here.
How? Please.
By having Nina trip herself up over and over again as she spoke with the PCPD. She might as well have had, "Yeah, fine, I did it," tattooed across her forehead. How do we know Nina shot Drew? First, Nina knew that her ex-lover had been gunned down when she walked in the door of General Hospital. She said that she'd overheard some nurses talking, but come on. Really? An interesting theory about Drew having shot himself in General Hospital is making the rounds on the internet. For those unfamiliar, before the tragedy, Drew was at home. He poured himself a drink, glanced at the engagement ring he had given Willow, and then at their framed photo. As he stayed lost in thought, a mysterious individual appeared from in the labyrinthine world of Port Charles, where secrets are currency and bloodlines are both shield and weapon. Few players possess the unique, acerbic genius of Tracy Quartermaine. Her knowledge is rarely accidental. It is hunted, curated, and weaponized. So, when she arrived at Drew Kane's doorstep with the unerring precision of a heat-seeking missile, knowing full well that Michael Corinthos was inside, it wasn't a lucky guess. It was a masterclass in Quartermaine deduction, a symphony of observation, historical precedent, and an intimate understanding of the fractured family she both torments and protects. The simple, reductive answer, the one a distracted Monica might accept or a frustrated Ned might dismiss, is that Tracy just knows things. But to stop there is to do a disservice to one of Port Charles's most formidable intellects. To understand how Tracy knew Michael was at Drew's, one must first understand the ecosystem of the crisis. The catalyst was the violent, shocking death of Morgan Corinthos. The fallout was nuclear, irradiating every member of the Corinthos and Quartermaine families. Michael, the rational, corporate scion in the making, was utterly unmoored by his brother's death. His grief was a silent, furious storm, and it made him unpredictable. He was pushing away his wife, Sabrina, clashing with his omnipotent father, Sonny, and rejecting the placid comforts of his mother, Carly. In Tracy's eyes, Michael was a prince without a kingdom, a key Quartermaine asset through his blood relation to Monica and Yelku, acting against his own best interests. Tracy's surveillance began not at Drew's house, but in the corridors of power and pain she frequents, the hospital, the Metro Court, and the Quartermaine mansion itself. She saw the hollow look in Michael's eyes during a forced family dinner. She overheard the tense, hushed arguments between Sonny and Carly about how to handle him. She noted his absence from critical Yelku meetings, a dereliction of duty that, to Tracy, was a brighter red flag than any emotional outburst. Michael was isolating himself, and an isolated asset is a vulnerable asset. This was her primary hypothesis. Michael would seek refuge, but not from the usual suspects. Tracy then applied the Quartermaine historical filter. Where does a grieving, angry Quartermaine go when the world is too much? They don't go to friends. They consider that a sign of weakness. They don't often go to family. The mansion is a pressure cooker of its own. They go to the outlier, the black sheep. The one who exists on the periphery of the family orbit, connected by blood but divorced from the. When Jason Morgan was alive and believed to be a Quartermaine, he was often this figure for Emily and others. He offered a quiet, non-judgmental space away from the madness. Drew Kane, despite his Jason Morgan face, was the new iteration of this archetype. He was a veteran, a man of quiet strength and profound trauma who had carved out a life of simple, honest peace with his daughter, Scout. His house was not a fortress of organized crime like Sonny's, nor a gilded cage of nostalgia like the Quartermaine mansion. It was neutral territory. Drew owed no allegiance to Sonny's demands or Carly's manipulations. He would listen without agenda. For Michael, desperate for a perspective untouched by the corrosive history of his parents, Drew was the perfect sanctuary. Tracy's next step was intelligence gathering. This is where her methods diverge from the blunt force of a private investigator and lean into the art of the social spy. She didn't need to follow Michael. She simply needed to listen to the absence of him. She might have placed a casual call to Monica. "Monica, darling, I need Michael to sign these papers. He's not at his office or at home with that lovely wife of his. You haven't seen him, have you?" Monica's worried, distracted response. "No, Tracy, and I'm getting concerned." Carly says he's not with Sonny either. Would have confirmed her absence from the usual ports of call. A carefully worded barb tossed at Carly over martinis. Shouldn't you be at home, smothering your son with concern? Carly's defensive. Michael doesn't want to be smothered. He needs space. Would have been all the confirmation Tracy needed that he was not under his parents' thumb. Then the final piece of the puzzle, Drew himself. Tracy understood that Drew, for all his heroism, was a terrible liar, especially to family. A chance encounter outside Kelly's, or perhaps even a phone call under the guise of discussing business with Curtis's partner. Drew, have you seen Michael? It's urgent YLQ business. Monica is worried sick. A pause on Drew's end, a fraction too long. No, Tracy. I haven't seen him. Sorry. The hesitation, the overly casual denial. To Tracy's ear, it was a louder confession than a shout. She heard the protective lie woven into his tone. Drew knew where Michael was, and his inherent decency compelled him to cover for him. In that moment, Tracy didn't just suspect Michael was with Drew. She knew it. Drew's attempt at chivalry had painted a perfect arrow right to his own doorstep. Armed with this certainty, Tracy's journey to Drew's house was not a hopeful errand. It was a tactical maneuver. She wasn't just delivering a message or offering hollow comfort. She had an objective. The Quartermain family was in distress, and a key member was vulnerable. Sonny's rage and Carly's grief were destabilizing forces that threatened to pull Michael permanently into their chaotic orbit, away from his birthright at YLQ. Tracy, for all her mercenary posturing, is a stalwart defender of the Quartermain legacy. She could not allow a Corinthos tidal wave to wash away one of their own. Her arrival was perfectly timed. She didn't skulk or peer through windows. She marched to the door and knocked with the authority of someone who owned the deed to the land the house was built on. When Drew answered, her expression wouldn't have been one of surprise, but of impatient expectation.
Well?
Are you going to let me in? Or do I have to conduct family business on the porch like a vacuum cleaner salesman? She bypassed Drew's sputtering defenses and zeroed in on Michael. Her approach was pure Tracy, abrasive, unsentimental, but cutting directly to the heart of the matter. She didn't offer platitudes about Morgan. She spoke of legacy, of strength, of not letting grief make you stupid. It was the only language a Quartermain in crisis could truly understand. She wasn't there to hug him. She was there to recalibrate him. In that moment, Tracy Quartermain was the physical embodiment of the family itself. Difficult, sharp, infuriating, but ultimately present. She reminded Michael that he was not just a Corinthos victim, but a Quartermain heir. She offered him a path out of the paralyzing grief that wasn't defined by his parents' war. She gave him a choice they weren't giving him, to be his own man. So, how did Tracy know? She knew because she pays attention in a town that is often too loud to listen. She knew because she understands the patterns of grief and the geography of refuge better than any psychologist. She knew because she can hear the truth in a lie and see the absence in a presence. She knew because she views the family as a complex chessboard, and she had just deduced the move her most valuable, vulnerable pawn had made. She went to Drew's house not because she had a tip, but because she had completed the equation. For Tracy Quartermain, it wasn't a mystery. It was simply Tuesday. A Facebook user shared an interesting theory, claiming that Drew might be responsible for his own shooting. He might have bribed someone to shoot him just to put more weight on his side against Michael. Doing so, he might also be able to pull Willow's attention to him. Most fans agreed to the theory, as Drew could possibly play such a plot to achieve his personal motives. However, some fans believe he wouldn't have done it, as he's unlikely to put his life at stake for such petty games. In a conversation with Soap Opera Digest, Drew's portrayer, Cameron Matheson, revealed why the writers tried to push his villainous arc to the extreme. He said, "Obviously, everybody hates me like crazy, but at the same time, they had to do that for the last 4 or 5 months. They can't just have people not like me. They have to have people want to kill me. And in order to have multiple people want to kill you, you've got to be pretty despicable, and they've done a really good job with that with Drew." On the September 2nd episode, Drew was deep in thought about his relationship with Willow as he sipped his drink. He didn't realize Kai and Trina were inside his home, gathering the evidence he planned to use against Portia. After being shot, he collapsed to the floor. The upcoming episodes will ultimately unveil whether the theory comes true or a bigger plot is at play. Anna tells Chase they need to get all their ducks in a row before news of what happened to Drew gets out. Anna lists the suspects, including Alexis, Carly, Michael, Sonny, Curtis, Willow, and Nina. Anna asks if Chase can be objective regarding Willow, and he claims he can, but also tells her Willow and Drew had reconciled. Tracy tells Brooklyn and Michael that Drew was shot, and he's being worked on at the hospital. She explains how she found Drew shot in the back and how upsetting this will be to Monica. Tracy tells Brooklyn to keep Monica occupied and away from the news. Michael is sorry Tracy was the one to find Drew, but she says it's a good thing, so she won't tell anyone he was there as well. Michael tries to deny it, but Tracy says she saw him park down the street and then drove away before she found Drew on the floor. Michael tries to explain, but Tracy doesn't want to know but warns him if anything happens to him, Monica will be upset. She tells him to go and get himself an alibi. Ava gives Christina some sleeping pills to keep Rick docile. Dante comes knocking, so Ava hides until she hears Dante mention attempted murder. Alexis shows up and Dante asks where she was tonight during Drew's shooting. Alexis says she won't speak without a lawyer and asks Dante to leave. Anna questions Willow, who says she was working but did go for a walk when she heard about the judge's death. Anna asks if she was alone, but Nina steps in and says Willow was with her. Anna wants to question them separately, but Nina refuses. Nina says she saw Willow crying, and they went for a walk. She claims she went home to change since they got caught in the rain and returned, and Willow told her about Drew. Anna tells Chase she believes Nina and Willow are lying and wants to know Michael's timeline during the shooting. Previous General Hospital, GH, recap. Britt gets busted helping Josslyn and Vaughn. Willow is angry with Nina for lying to the police. Nina says she gave Willow an alibi, but Willow says Nina gave herself one. Nina says Willow is the prime suspect, but Willow says Drew was going to get her kids back. She says Nina had a motive, but Nina says she lied because she loves Willow. Brooklyn offers to listen, and Tracy admits she felt compassion when she found Drew, but at the same time wasn't surprised to see someone finally shot him. Chase gets to the mansion to question Tracy and Brooklyn and asks where Michael was tonight. Martin meets with Lulu because he has a story for her that could lose him his license. Lulu decides she can't work on something that big. Martin tells her it's about Drew and corruption, which piques Lulu's interest. He tells her about Stella, but he has no proof. Lulu asks if Stella bent the rules, and if she did, she can't help. Martin says if she can prove Drew was behind it, they can stop the investigation. Martin gets a call from the hospital that Drew was shot. Michael heads to the bar and talks to a waiter about a blonde woman who is sitting beside him and how to find her. The waiter says he's new and doesn't know who she was. Lulu approaches him and asks where Michael was all night, but he doesn't tell her. Portia joins Lucas in the operating room, and they manage to get one bullet out without problems. The second bullet is trickier, and Portia remembers how Drew was blackmailing her. Drew starts bleeding and crashes. Portia and Lucas update Nina and Willow and say the second bullet is lodged in artery, but they repair the artery and Portia saved his life. Willow is grateful. Anna calls Chase and tells him they need to be vigilant because whoever shot Drew is walking amongst them. The next General Hospital spoilers video for Thursday, September 4th, 2025, shows Lulu weighing the risks of a secret while Alexis shuts down Dante's probing and Trina voices fears about Portia. Coming up in Port Charles. Trina, Tabiana Ali, asks Kai, Jens Austin Astrup, what if she did something even more extreme tonight? Does Trina think that Portia, Brooke Kerr, is the one who tried to off Drew, Cameron Matheson? If Trina's right and Portia really went rogue, Thanksgiving at the Ashford house is going to be even more awkward than usual. At the Port Charles Grill, Lulu, Alexa Havens, tells someone, if you're willing to risk all that, this must be big. Is she working on a new story? It sounds like someone's coming clean with her about a misdeed. Alexis, Nancy Legrand, says to Dante, Dominic Zamprogna, I have to ask you to leave. He may be questioning her about Drew's shooting since she openly threatened the congressman. Hopefully, she has an alibi, unlike other Port Charles citizens. Anna, Finola Hughes, asks Chase, Josh Swickard, are you suggesting that makes her innocent? The weekly teasers state that Anna and Chase interview suspects, so he's probably defending Willow, Caitlin McMullen. Or maybe even Tracy, Jane Elliott. Tracy orders Michael, Rory Gibson, make sure Monica never hears about this. They're probably going to have to shut off the mansion's Wi-Fi and cable TV because Monica will no doubt hear about it on the news. Honestly, the only way to stop Monica from finding out would be to cut the power to Port Charles itself. And Willow asks Nina, Cynthia Wetros, how did you know that Drew was shot? The teasers also indicate that Nina makes a risky move. Is she at the hospital checking in on Drew? She may want to lie low because she also threatened him and could be considered a suspect. After Dante leaves, Ava believes Alexis to be responsible and praises her for giving Drew what he deserved. Alexis claims she was downstairs with Rick all night, but Ava says he can't give her an alibi. Alexis says Ava and Christina will be her alibi. Trina worries her mother is responsible for what happened to Drew, but Kai reassures her there is a long list of suspects. Trina says they have to make sure no one connects them or Portia to Drew's shooting. Trina lights the lab results on fire and disposes of them. Stella shows up looking for Curtis, but Trina says she hasn't seen him. Anna calls Kai and tells him Drew was shot, and if he can come to the hospital to answer questions. She asks about Drew's schedule and if Kai noticed anything out of the ordinary. General Hospital finally did it. Someone shot Drew, and the people of Port Charles will rejoice. Of course, there are a number of people who could have pulled the trigger. However, fans think they have cracked the case. Was it Willow, or is she too obvious? Willow's shadow. Social media is abuzz, chattering about who finally tried to kill Drew, Cameron Matheson. GH fans take note of everything, and all eyes were on the shadowy figure standing over the congressman after he was shot. It appeared to be a woman with short hair, and Willow, Caitlin McMullen, fits the bill. It makes sense for Willow to be the culprit. The man ruined her life, and she finally realized how slimy he really is. Plus, she isn't exactly in her right mind. Willow was pretending to believe in him and take him back, but the look in her eyes showed something different. She also has easy access because she has keys to the house. Is Willow too obvious? GH loves a good mystery, and they did a good job setting up a who shot Drew scenario. Almost everyone in Port Charles wanted the congressman dead, so it seems too easy for Willow to be the shooter. In fact, if it were her, then this storyline might not last very long. We know it is not Trina, Tabiana Ali, or Kai, Jens Austin Astrup, because they were hiding in Drew's bedroom when the shots rang out. But there are plenty of other suspects. Everyone from Sweet Molly, Kristen Vaganos, to the dangerous Sidwell, Carlo Rhoda, had a motive. Some fans have even suggested someone as innocent as Scout, Cosette Abinante. Other out-there theories are Monica, the late Leslie Charleson, or the new Erica Slezak character, who is said to be Monica's sister. Do you think Willow's show the September 3rd episode of General Hospital left viewers with more questions than answers after Drew was shot in his own home? While Dante and Anna scramble to piece together clues, fans on social media are already pointing fingers at Michael and Willow. Their suspicious timing and being would have fueled speculation that they may have been together when the shooting happened. Were Michael and Willow together when Drew was shot on General Hospital? While there are countless suspects, fans couldn't ignore the odd details from the episode. Both Michael and Willow returned home soaked from the rain on the same night Drew was shot. Michael claimed he had left his phone in the car while comforting Wiley, while Willow told Liz she had gone for a walk to clear her head. Neither story has fully convinced fans, who pointed out the coincidence of their wet clothes and their absence during the crucial time of the shooting.